I wasn't looking for anything special that night, just another quiet Christmas Eve. The kind where the lights glow a little softer and the house feels bigger because someone is missing. But then I saw it, tucked beneath the tree, half hidden behind a wrapped box I didn't remember putting there. It was a single envelope with my name written in handwriting I hadn't seen in years. And my heart stopped because I knew it instantly. It was yours. The tree lights flickered gently, reflecting off ornaments we once picked together. And for a moment, I just stood there, staring at the letter like it might disappear if I touched it. The date written in the corner didn't make sense. December 24th, 5 years ago. Yet the paper looked untouched, as if it had been waiting patiently for this exact night. I sat down slowly, the room suddenly too quiet, and before opening it, memories rushed in without permission. Your laugh while decorating the tree, the way you always burned the cookies, the promise we made to always spend Christmas together no matter what life did to us. We didn't break up because we stopped loving each other. That was the cruel part. We broke up because of timing, misunderstandings, pride. The kind of small things that feel big when you're young and scared. I told myself I'd moved on. I told everyone else the same thing. But standing there, holding that envelope, I realized some loves don't fade, they just wait. I opened the letter with shaking hands. You wrote about that night, the last Christmas we spent together. You said you noticed how quiet I'd become, how I smiled but didn't really smile, and how you wanted to ask me to stay but were afraid of holding me back. You wrote that you loved me more than you ever said out loud, and that if fate was kind, I'd find this letter one day when I needed it most. And then came the line that broke me. If you're reading this, it means I never stopped loving you. And I hope you never stop loving me either. If this story is already touching something in your heart, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps love in us grow, and it lets us bring you more stories like this. I didn't realize I was crying until a tear fell onto the paper, blurring your words. Outside, snow had started to fall, soft and steady, just like it did every Christmas we spent together. At the bottom of the letter, there was an address. Your handwriting wavered slightly there, like you weren't sure if you should include it. You wrote, "If you ever want to talk, I'll be here." I sat there for a long time, staring at the address, arguing with myself. 5 years is a long time. People change. Lives move on. But Christmas has a way of reminding us who we really are beneath everything else. I grabbed my coat before I could change my mind. The drive felt unreal. The streets were glowing with lights, houses filled with laughter, and somewhere between the radio playing old Christmas songs and the snow hitting the windshield, I felt like I was stepping back into a version of myself I thought I'd lost. When I reached the address, my hands were shaking again. It was a small house, warm lights glowing through the windows. A wreath hanging slightly crooked on the door, just like you always did. I stood there for what felt like forever before knocking. When you opened the door, time stopped. You looked different, older, maybe a little tired, but your eyes were the same. The surprise on your face turned into disbelief, then something softer, something hopeful. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then you whispered my name, like you were afraid saying it too loud would send me away. "I found your letter," I said. You smiled, and I saw tears fill your eyes. You admitted you'd written it, but never had the courage to give it to me back then. You'd slipped it under the tree that last night, hoping I'd find it. But I never did. Life moved us in different directions. But every Christmas, you wondered if maybe, just maybe, I'd come knocking. We sat inside, talking for hours, laughing at old memories, apologizing for things we didn't understand back then, realizing how much love had been left unspoken. Outside, the snow kept falling, quiet and patient, like it knew this moment mattered. If you believe in second chances, or if this story reminds you of someone you miss, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive and helps this channel reach more hearts. When I finally stood to leave, you asked if I'd stay a little longer. Just one more Christmas moment. We exchanged a small gift you still had, something you kept all these years. Just in case, and I knew then that some endings aren't endings at all. They're pauses. That night didn't fix everything. Love rarely works that way. But it reopened a door we both thought was closed forever. And as I walked back into the snow, I realized Christmas didn't just give me a memory this year, it gave me hope. So if you ever find a letter under your tree, maybe it's not too late. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to Love in Us, and share it with someone special. Wishing you love, warmth, and a beautiful Christmas.
Christmas Eve, and the old bookstore was silent, except for the whisper of turning pages. Anya, its owner, was closing up, her heart a little heavy with the familiar loneliness of the season. She picked up a peculiar ornament she'd found in a donation box earlier that day. It was an old handcrafted dragon, oddly heavy, its scales carved with impossible detail. As her fingers traced its shape, a sudden warmth spread from the ornament into her hand, pulsing like a tiny, sleeping heart. The shop bell chimed, startling her. A man stood in the doorway, snowflakes melting on his dark coat. But it was his eyes that stole her breath. They were the color of ancient gold, flecked with green, and held the depth of 1,000 winters. Dragon eyes. He stepped inside, the scent of pine and frost clinging to him. He looked at her, not like a stranger, but like someone who had waited a lifetime. Anya, he whispered, and her name on his lips was a melody she'd never heard, but had always known. This wasn't just some holiday prank, This was the real deal. Anya was known for her kindness, a sweet, hard-working soul who poured her love into the books that lined her shelves. Her shop was her sanctuary, especially on nights like this, the man explained, his voice a low rumble, that he was bound to the ornament she held. A guardian, he called himself. Trapped by a centuries-old curse, he could only appear in human form for this one magical night Christmas Eve. And at the stroke of midnight, he would fade back into his cold, wooden prison. Anya stared at him, her rational mind warring with the impossible truth standing before her. How can I help you? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. He looked at the snow, falling softly outside the window. I can protect you, he sighed softly, but my freedom isn't mine to choose. The only way to break this binding is through its keeper. He saw the despair in her eyes and added gently, it has happened once before, a long, long time ago. When someone chose love over fear. Anya's heart fluttered at the thought. Love, fear. It was a whirlwind of emotions. And she felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. It all felt like a storybook plot. Yet, the warmth of the ornament in her hand, the intensity in his golden eyes, it was undeniable. She decided, in that moment, to believe. She made them both hot cocoa, the rich chocolate scent filling the cozy space between bookshelves. As she handed him a steaming mug, their fingers brushed, sending a jolt of electricity through her. His hands were so large, yet so careful. She noticed he was shivering slightly, unused to the world outside his shell. Without thinking, she took her favorite cashmere scarf from the coat rack and wrapped it around his neck. He stilled, his gaze softening as he touched the warm fabric. What is this? He asked, his voice full of wonder. It's a scarf, she said with a gentle laugh. Just for warmth. He glanced from her to the scarf and back again, as if trying to grasp the simple yet profound gesture. Warmth, he repeated, as if tasting the word for the first time. He was a being of immense power, yet he was learning the simple, human joys of hot cocoa, soft scarves, and the quiet comfort of a shared room while snow fell outside. As they talked, he seemed to sense things she couldn't. When the phone rang, a creepy, persistent caller on the other end. He was by her side in an instant, his presence a silent shield until she hung up. Shaken. Later, when a shadow flickered past the window, he moved to stand between her and the glass, his posture calm but utterly protective. He was learning about home, and she was learning about feeling safe. It was a strange, beautiful dance of vulnerability and strength. If this Christmas magic is pulling at your heart, like and subscribe to Love and Us because our stories always bring love home. Their quiet bubble was shattered when the shop bell chimed again, this time with a harsh, demanding clang. A man in an expensive suit, his face pinched and cold, strode in. He didn't browse. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on the dragon ornament, now sitting on the counter. I'm here for that, he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. It's not for sale, Anya replied, her hand instinctively covering the ornament. The man laughed, a cruel, sharp sound. Everything is for sale, he sneered. I know who you are, Anya. I also know that your shop's lease is up for renewal, and that puts you in a tough spot. I know about your grandmother's heirlooms in that pawn shop downtown. A single phone call, and you lose it all. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced Anya's heart. But before she could respond, her dragon guardian stepped forward, placing himself between her and the collector. He was calm, his golden eyes burning with a controlled fire. You will not threaten her, he stated, his voice dangerously low. The collector just smirked. You can't touch me, Guardian. The binding won't let you harm someone who knows the rules. And Anya saw it, then a flicker of frustration, of helplessness in those powerful eyes. He was trapped, caught in a moment of uncertainty as the collector's words reverberated in her mind. Someone who knows the rules. A chilling thought washed over Anya, hitting her like a wave. The ornament wasn't a gift or a charming antique. It was a key, a tool for control. The collector didn't just want the dragon. He wanted the power to command him. To free the man she was beginning to care for, she had to break the binding. She had to destroy the ornament. But the fear was What if destroying the cage also destroyed the one inside? What if her attempt to free him erased him from existence forever? The collector was still ranting, his threats escalating. But Anya had tuned him out completely. She looked at the man with dragon eyes, at the scarf she had wrapped around his neck, and she saw not a magical being, but a soul in chains. The choice was crystal clear, low, Oberfear. I would rather lose you while you're free, she whispered to him, her voice trembling but resolute, than keep you while you're trapped. The clock on the wall began to chime. Midnight. Anya grabbed the heavy ornament. The collector lunged for it, his face contorted in a snarl of fury. But she was faster. With a cry that was part desperation, part defiance, she hurled the wooden dragon into the cast-iron stove she used to heat the shop. Flames instantly licked at the ancient wood. The collector screamed as a wave of magical energy erupted from the fire, throwing him back against a bookshelf. The curse was shattering. For a terrifying, heart-stopping second, the man with dragon eyes flickered, his form turning translucent. He looked at her, his lips forming her name one last time, and then he vanished. Silence descended upon the shop, broken only by the crackle of the fire and Anya's own ragged breath. The collector was gone. The magic was gone, and so was it. She sank to her knees, a sob catching in her throat. She had killed him. She had chosen love, and it felt like it had cost her everything. The minutes dragged on, stretching into an eternity, each second heavy with the weight of her decision. The scent of burnt wood and shattered magic hung in the air. Anya stared at the empty space where he had stood, tears blurring the warm lights of her beloved bookstore. It was over. And then, the shop bell chimed softly, pulling Anya from her thoughts. She looked up, her heart racing like it was trying to escape her chest. Standing in the doorway, framed by the softly falling snow, was him. Not a shimmering apparition, but a solid, breathing man. His eyes were no longer glowing gold. They were a warm, gentle hazel. He was fully human. He walked toward her and knelt down, taking her hands in his. They were warm, real. You're here, she breathed. He smiled, a true, easy smile that reached his now human eyes. You didn't save me with magic, Anya, he said, his voice thick with emotion. You saved me with a choice. He gently wiped a tear from her cheek. I believe, he began, a hopeful light dawning in his expression, that I owe you a real date. Christmas morning, perhaps. The start of forever. Anya gazed at the man she had set free, her heart swelling with joy. This was the moment she had longed for, a promise of new beginnings and endless possibilities. The man who had chosen to come back to her. And for the first time on Christmas Eve, she wasn't lonely at all. Se was home. Thanks for watching. Lucia arrived on a rainy afternoon. She stepped out of the elevator and into a quiet penthouse studio, surrounded by tall windows and thick, heavy velvet curtains. The air was still, the light soft. The space felt like a different world come, timeless and meticulously kept. The artist was already there, waiting by a large canvas, a quiet smile on his face. "You came," he said, his voice a low hum that barely disturbed the silence. Lucia nodded, her own voice just as soft. "I'm here for the project. 30 days. He offered her a simple agreement. A single sheet of paper with clean, typed words. No distractions. No phones. No contact with the outside world. Just time. Time to observe, to reflect, and to create. She signed it without a moment of hesitation. This wasn't just about a painting. She knew it was a chance to step away from the noise, to discover something real, something hidden within the quiet moments. This was a search for connection, an exploration of mystery. Over the next few days, Lucia became a part of the studio's gentle rhythm. She would sit quietly on a worn leather chair as the artist painted, his brush moving with a silent, hypnotic grace. His brush moving with a silent, hypnotic grace. Sometimes she would read from the thick, leather-bound books that lined the shelves by the window, the words blurring as she watched the rain trace paths down the glass. Other times, she would walk between the rows of canvases, observing the works in progress, feeling the presence of the figures he was creating. They rarely spoke, but the silence that filled the space between them was never empty. It was a comfortable quiet, a shared understanding that words were not always necessary. Each new painting he started captured something different about her, not just what she looked like, but the subtle way she moved. The way she held her shoulders when she was lost in thought. The way her presence seemed to shift and change with the light. The studio became a sanctuary, and the project, a silent conversation. One afternoon, as the light turned golden, Lucia noticed something unusual, a pattern she hadn't seen before. She walked from canvas to canvas, her footsteps echoing softly on the wooden floor. None of the portraits had a face. Each figure was beautifully rendered, full of life and emotion. But where the face should be, there was only a smooth, blank space. She finally turned to him, her curiosity overcoming her quiet nature. "Why?" she asked gently. "Why do you leave them blank?" He paused his work, setting his brush down carefully. He looked not at her, but at the canvas, as if the answer was there. "Because sometimes," he said, his voice thoughtful, "a person is more than what you see on the surface. Expression isn't just in a smile or a frown. It comes through posture, through presence, through the way a person occupies a space. The truest self is often revealed when the mask is removed." Lucia thought about that. She thought about the faces people wear, the expressions they force, and she said nothing more, understanding him completely. On the 17th day, a detail caught her eye. A door she had always assumed was a closet was slightly ajar, a sliver of darkness in the bright studio. Her curiosity pulled her forward. She pushed the door open to reveal a room she had never seen before. It was a storage space, filled with paintings, dozens of film, all leaning against the walls in neat rows. They were all faceless portraits, just like the ones in the main studio. But as she looked closer, she realized they were all of her, or they looked like her. The figures were older in some, dressed differently in others. Their poses unfamiliar yet hauntingly recognizable. She turned to the artist, who had followed her into the room. She was surprised, confused. "How did you make these?" "I don't remember posing for any of them." He looked at the collection of paintings with a strange sense of nostalgia. He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I've been preparing for this project for years," he explained. "I've been painting this idea, this presence, this story. It was never about a specific person. It was about a feeling, an essence. You just happened to fit it perfectly." She wasn't entirely sure what that meant. Was she just a puzzle piece, or had fate brought her here? The mystery of it stayed with her, long after she left the small, hidden room. The final day arrived. Day 30. The studio was filled with a quiet, ethereal light that filtered through the velvet curtains. The rain had stopped. Lucia sat near the window, her usual spot, while the artist worked on one last, large canvas. He painted slowly, his movements deliberate, capturing every detail of her presence with intense care. The silence in the room was profound. Neither of them spoke, but they both felt the weight of the moment. They both knew this was the end of the project, the end of their shared world. When he finally set his brush down, the painting was finished. It showed Lucia sitting calmly by the window, looking out, her posture thoughtful and steady. She was not just a subject in a painting. She was a presence, a story told without words, a soul captured without a face. The project was complete. The 30 days were over. As she stood to leave, she looked at the artist, and for the first time, their eyes met in a long, silent acknowledgement. Thank you. Goodbye. This was Velvet Room, a story of creativity, of silence, and of the connections that are forged in the spaces between words. It is a reminder that the deepest truths about ourselves are often found when we stop trying to show the world a perfect face and instead simply allow ourselves to be present. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this journey with us. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more meaningful content from our channel. Until next time, keep looking for the beauty in the quiet moments and keep creating. I was already halfway to the taxi when you said my name quiet. Like you weren't trying to stop me, just trying to be heard one last time. My whole body reacted before my mind could. I turned, and there you were, under the streetlight, your breath fogging in the cold, eyes shining with the kind of regret that shows up too late. Unless you're brave enough to bring it anyway. Just one kiss, you send. Not to fix us, not to trap you, just to say goodbye. The right way. My fingers tightened around my suitcase handle because one kiss sounded harmless. But we both knew our hearts didn't to do harmless. I walked back slowly, like every step was a question. And when I stopped in front of you, you didn't reach for me right away. You waited, giving me the choice you hadn't given me before. If you say no, you whispered, I'll let you go. I should have said no. I should have kept my life neat and sensible. But the truth was, I didn't miss the arguments. I missed the way you looked at me when the world was loud and I was the only quiet you trusted. Okay, I breathed. 1. Your hand lifted to my cheek warm, trembling, and the touch alone pulled memories out of hiding. Late night laughter, shared fries, your hoodie on my shoulders, my name in your mouth like a promise. When our lips met, it wasn't desperate. It was careful, like we were both afraid of how good it could still feel. And then it deepened, not because we lost control, but because we finally told the truth with our bodies. We weren't over each other. I pulled back first, forehead resting against yours, and I hated how fast my heartbeat learned hope again. That was supposed to be goodbye, I whispered. You nodded, swallowing hard. I know. Then you reached into your coat and held out a small envelope. I wrote this weeks ago, when I realized I'd been loving you selfishly. I opened it with shaking hands. And there it was, no excuses, no dramatic speeches, just the simplest, rarest thing. Accountability. You wrote that you were sorry for choosing pride over peace, for listening to your fear louder than my voice, for treating later like it was guaranteed. At the bottom you'd written, if you ever want a love that feels safe, I want to learn how to be that. I looked up, and you didn't beg. You just stood there, letting your apology be a door I could walk through or not. My chest ached in that tender way that means your heart is healing and hurting at the same time. Come with me, I said, surprising myself. Not forever, not a fairy tale. Just come sit with me for 10 minutes and tell me the truth without trying to win. Your eyes softened like sunrise. Okay, you whispered. 10 minutes. We walked to the tiny cafe on the corner, the one that stayed open for people who didn't want to go home yet. We talked like adults who'd finally met the consequences of their own choices. You told me about therapy, about how you'd been learning to pause before you reacted, about how love isn't just intensity, it's consistency. I told you how lonely it felt to be strong all the time, how I didn't want grand gestures. I wanted steady hands and a steady heart. And right there between the steam of hot chocolate and the quiet glow of the window lights, my fear loosened its grip. If you're feeling this kind of love, messy, real, worth fighting for, like and subscribe to Love in Us, because these are the stories that remind us healing can still be romantic. When we stepped back outside, The night felt different, like it was making room for something new. "So what happens now?" you asked, your voice careful. I took a breath and made a choice I could live with. "Now you earn me." Primera sighed softly in the small ways, the everyday ways. Your smile wasn't triumphant. It was relieved, grateful. "I can do that," you said. Then you opened your arms not. Demanding, "Not." Rushing and I stepped into them, letting my cheek rest against your chest like my heart had finally found its address again. "One kiss after goodbye," you murmured into my hair. And somehow it became a beginning. I laughed, tears in my eyes, and tipped my face up for one more slow, sweet certain, because this time we weren't saying goodbye at all. Thanks for watching. Imagine you're a humble mapmaker from the icy village of Frostmere, scraping by day to day, when soothingly the Ice Court soldiers show up at your door. They're not here to arrest you. They're here to take you to the palace. Confused and a little terrified, you find yourself standing before the Winter Prince himself. The kingdom is on the brink of civil war, and he has a shocking proposal to stop it. He wants you to become his contract bride, just until Christmas Eve. He promises it's a deal to save his people. Desperate and seeing no other choice, you agree and sign the ancient document. The moment your name is complete, the sprig of mistletoe attached to the contract flares with a magical light, and a glowing VU mark appears on your skin. Whoa. This is definitely not a normal contract. The prince then reveals the real, terrifying truth. A curse was placed on his bloodline generations ago. Every Christmas Eve at midnight, his heart begins to freeze over. If it turns completely to ice, he'll become a merciless tyrant. And because of the magical vow you just made, if he's lost to the ice, you die too. Merry Christmas, right? No pressure. So, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to somehow help him break this curse before the final bell chimes on Christmas Eve. What follows is a whirlwind of training. You're thrown into intense court lessons, learning etiquette, politics, and history at a dizzying pace. You have to navigate the glares of hostile nobles who see you as a commoner, and nobody who doesn't belong. The public pressure is immense, with everyone watching your every move. But through it all, something unexpected happens. A spark ignites between you and the prince. The chemistry is undeniable, growing stronger with each stolen glance and shared moment of frustration. He's not just a cold, distant royal. There's something more beneath the surface. One day, you stumble upon a hidden room tucked away in a forgotten corner of the sprawling ice palace. It's a small, cozy chamber, and the air is filled with the sweet scent of chocolate. This is his secret sanctuary, a warm room where he makes Christmas cocoa, just like his mother used to. Here, surrounded by her memories, the Winter Prince finally lets his guard down. He shares stories of his childhood, his fears, and his hopes for the kingdom. You see the man behind the crown, a softer, vulnerable side he shows to no one else. This quiet moment, sipping cocoa while a magical frost patterns the windows, is where your connection deepens into something real and powerful. You start to see a future beyond the contract, a future with him. The romance begins to blossom in the most enchanting ways. He takes you on a magical sleigh ride through the crystalline forests, pulled by reindeer made of starlight. You spend an evening decorating the Grand Palace Christmas tree, your hands brushing as you hang ornaments, the air crackling with unspoken tension. There are so many moments where you almost kiss, where the world seems to fade away, leaving just the two of you. But something always holds you back. The contract, the curse, the weight of the kingdom. But the feeling is there. A powerful, undeniable love growing in the heart of winter. Alright guys, if you're loving this winter fairy tale as much as I am, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss what happens next. The clock is ticking toward Christmas Eve, and things are about to get seriously intense. Your support means the world. Now, back to the story. Just as you start to believe you can actually do this, that you and the prince might have a real future, disaster strikes. You're in your chambers when the royal guards burst in. They've found the legendary world mistletoe, a plant with the power to control the entire kingdom's magic, hidden among your belongings. You're framed, accused of high treason. The very nobles who despised you are now calling for your head. But when you're dragged before the entire court, the prince does something shocking. He publicly defends you, staking his own reputation to protect you from the furious council. Later, in private, his face is grim. He demands the truth. Did you betray him? You look him in the eye, your heart pounding, and tell him no. And then, the vow mark on your skin glows with a soft, steady light of magical proof that you are telling the truth. He believes you. Now, you're not just contract partners. You're a team. Together, you secretly investigate who framed you and why. Following a trail of whispers and lies, you uncover a sinister plot. A powerful noble, one who has been undermining the prince all along, plans to let the curse take hold. He wants the prince to become a monster, easy to overthrow. Then he'll seize control, using the world mistletoe to destroy the court's ancient magic and rule as a true tyrant. You realize he didn't just frame you, he stole the real mistletoe and planted a fake. Racing against time, you discover the real world mistletoe is hidden in a secret vault right beneath the throne room. As the first midnight bells of Christmas Eve begin to toll, you find it. But just as you reach for the glowing plant, the villainous noble appears, sword drawn. He attacks, lunging for the prince. The curse, sensing the violence and the impending doom, accelerates, ice rapidly encasing the prince's heart. He cries out in pain. In that split second, you know the contract doesn't matter. Your feelings are real. You make a choice, not as a contract bride, but as someone who truly loves him. You throw yourself between the prince and the villain's blade. At the exact moment the final bell of midnight chimes, with the villain's sword just inches away. The prince pulls you into a kiss. It's a kiss of true love, freely given, right under the living glow of the world mistletoe. A massive burst of magical energy explodes from you both. A shower of star-like snow that fills the entire throne room. The curse shatters. The ice around the prince's heart melts away, leaving him gasping but whole. The ancient runes carved into the palace floors and walls flare to life, their magic surging to protect the true heir. The villain is thrown back, disarmed and trapped by the palace's own defenses. As the royal guard sees him, the entire court, who witnessed everything, watches in awe. The cold, blue lanterns that always lit the palace begin to shift, turning into a warm, golden glow. Christmas has returned to the kingdom. Later, standing on a balcony, overlooking the now joyful city, the prince turns to you. The contract is over. You're free to go home, but he asks you to stay, not as a contract bride, but as his partner, his love, his queen. And with a smile, you choose him, ready to start your new life together. A perfect fairy tale ending. Thank you all so much for watching this story unfold. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. See you in the next video. On a chilly Christmas Eve, a woman boards a train, her breath misting in the cold air. She finds her reserved seat, but there's something already on it. A sealed, cream-colored envelope. Her name is written across the front in elegant, old-fashioned script. Her heart thumps a little faster. Who could have possibly left this for her? With trembling fingers, she breaks the seal. Inside, there's a simple card that reads, "This ticket was meant for you." Tucked behind it is an old, faded photograph. It's a picture of her, no older than 5, bundled up in a winter coat, standing on a train platform. Beside her is a little boy, his face bright with a smile she can't quite place. The station sign behind them is clear. "Hello, Pine." She furrows her brow, trying to remember. Hello, Pine. She's never heard of it. The boy, a complete stranger. It feels like a dream she can't quite grasp, a memory that isn't hers. Confused, she flags down the conductor, a kind-faced man with silver hair. She shows him the envelope, the card, the photo. His eyes soften with a strange mix of surprise and recognition. He tells her a story that sends a shiver down her spine. "That seat," he says, his voice a low, Hentler rumble. It's been reserved for you every single Christmas Eve for the last 20 years. The ticket was always paid for, but it always went unclaimed. So every year, we'd reissue it, just in case. Just in case. What? The mystery deepens, a thread pulling her towards something unknown. She looks back at the card in her hand and notices more writing on the back. A simple instruction that makes her breath catch. Meet me in car 3. When the bells ring. Bells? What bells? The train is quiet, save for the rhythmic clatter of wheels on the track. As the train glides through the darkening countryside, a soft, melodic chime echoes through the cars. The bells, it's time. Her heart feels like it's going to beat right out of her chest. So who'd say go? Is this a prank? A mistake? But something stronger than her doubt, a pull of curiosity and a flicker of something else, gets her to her feet. She makes her way down the aisle, her hands clammy, pushing through the doors into car 3. The car is dimly lit, cozy, and almost empty, except for one person. A man, about her age, stands by the window, looking out at the snow-covered landscape. He turns as she enters, and his eyes meet hers. There's a warmth in his gaze, a sense of familiarity that's both startling and comforting. I was hoping you'd come, he says, his voice gentle. He tells her he's been waiting, not in a strange, obsessive way, but to keep a promise. A promise made a long time ago. He reaches into his coat pocket and pulls out his own set of treasures. A matching photograph, showing the same 2 children from his perspective. An old, worn ticket stub, stamped with a date from 2 decades ago. And finally, a small, folded piece of paper, a note written in a child's clumsy handwriting. He unfolds it carefully. It's a promise. If we get lost, we meet here again. Her mind is reeling, trying to piece it all together. How could she forget something like this? It turns out, her mother had moved them away from her childhood home suddenly after her father passed away. In her grief, her mother tried to protect her daughter from the pain of the past, from chasing after what she called unreal memories. Over the years, the real, vibrant memory of Hollow Pine and her childhood best friend faded, becoming nothing more than a recurring, hazy dream she could never fully recall upon waking. It wasn't just a place she'd forgotten. It was a part of herself she'd lost. Like and subscribe to Love and Us as they talk. The world outside the train window becomes a blur of twinkling Christmas lights from distant houses. Inside, in the warm, quiet bubble of car 3, she feels a sense of rightness, a feeling of coming home. Her heart seems to recognize him long before her mind can catch up. The way he smiles, the sound of his laugh fits like a song she forgot she knew the words to. Every story he shares about their childhood adventures fills in another blank space in her memory, painting a vivid picture of a friendship that was supposed to last a lifetime. He wasn't a ghost from a dream. Was real. Just as she's beginning to feel the solid ground of her own past beneath her feet again, a voice crackles over the train's intercom, smooth and calm. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be making an unscheduled stop. Next station, Hollow Pine. Her head snaps up, her eyes wide. She looks at him, then at the route map on the wall. Hollow Pine isn't on this line. It's a decommissioned station, a ghost on the rails. It's not on the route, she whispers, a new wave of disbelief washing over her. He just smiles, a knowing, gentle smile. It is tonight, he says. The train slows, its brakes hissing softly as it pulls into a station that shouldn't exist. Through the window, she sees it. The platform of Hollow Pine is aglow, not abandoned and dark, but alive with hundreds of glowing lanterns and strings of brilliant Christmas lights. It's as if the entire town has been waiting, keeping a tradition alive for someone they knew was still on their way. The doors slide open with a gentle whoosh, letting in a gust of crisp, pine-scented air. He stands and offers her his hand. As they step onto the glowing platform, he reaches into his pocket one last time and pulls out a fresh, crisp train ticket. He places it in her palm. Stamped across it in bold, red ink is a single word. Home. He looks at her, his eyes reflecting the warm light of the lanterns. You don't have to repay the past, he sighs softly. You just have to choose your future. Right now, in that moment, standing on the magical platform of a forgotten town, everything becomes clear. The miracle wasn't the train stopping, but the ticket waiting for her. The miracle was in the belief, his unwavering belief, that she was worth waiting for, and her newfound belief that she was worth coming back for. She looks from the ticket in her hand to the man who kept a childhood promise for 20 years, and she chooses. She chooses him. With a smile that finally reaches her eyes, she takes his hand, and together they step back onto the train, ready to start their journey home. Thanks for watching. He first saw her when he was just 12 years old. It wasn't in a classroom, or at a park, or even in a picture. He saw her in a dream. But this dream, it was so vivid, so crystal clear, it felt more real than waking life. There she was, a girl in a stunning red dress by a calm, glassy lake. Above them, the sky was a breathtaking shade of violet, a color he'd never seen before but instantly knew was his favorite. She didn't say a word to him. She didn't have to say a word. She just smiled, and it was no ordinary smile. It was a smile of recognition, one that whispered, I know you. I know you. I've been waiting for you. It was a smile that reached deep into his soul and made him feel completely at home. And then, just like that, every single time he closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep, she returned. Always the same scene, the same striking red dress, flowing gently in a breeze he couldn't feel. The same tranquil lake, reflecting that impossible violet sky. He would see her, and a wave of calm would wash over him. He'd take a step toward her, his mouth opening to finally ask her name, to ask her anything. And then, his eyes would snap open. He'd be back in his bed, the morning sun streaming through his window, his heart pounding in his chest, the image of her smile already starting to fade like a photograph left in the sun. For years, he told himself it was just a dream. If your heart just whispered, this is different, like and subscribe to Loverness, and let's keep chasing the kind of love that feels like a dream. A recurring fantasy created by his young, imaginative mind. Kids have the wildest dreams, don't you think? It's totally normal, right? He tried to shake it off, to move on from the girl by the lake. But honestly, it was impossible. That dream lingered like a sweet melody in his mind, refusing to fade away, because it wasn't just a silent movie playing in his head. It was so much more than just a dream. The details began to seep into his everyday life, intertwining with reality in the most unexpected ways. He'd be walking to school, and a sudden downpour would start. He would smell the rain hitting the hot pavement, and instantly, he was back in the dream, smelling the scent of fresh rain in her dark hair. He'd see a certain shade of blue-green in a painting, and his breath would catch in his throat, because it was the exact color of her eyes. Sometimes, he'd find himself humming a simple, haunting melody, a tune he'd never heard on the radio or in a movie. It took him months to realize it was the melody she hummed in his dreams, soft and low, a lullaby just for him. He saw the way she tilted her head when she smiled, a subtle, curious gesture that he started noticing in strangers, always hoping one of them would be her. And then there was the feeling, that overwhelming, undeniable feeling. It was a sense of connection so profound, so ancient. It felt like he had known her for lifetimes. Not just this life, but countless others before. It was a love that didn't need introductions or explanations. It just was. He grew up, just like everyone else. The years passed in a blur of homework, exams, first jobs, and first heartbreaks. He navigated the complexities of life. People came and went, friends moved, relationships faded. Life was just a cycle of goodbyes, but she never left. She was the one constant. Every few months, just when he started to think maybe, just maybe, he'd finally outgrown the dream, she would return. There she'd be, by the lake, in her red dress, with that all-knowing smile. He never told a single soul. How could he even begin to explain it? Who would ever believe him? His friends would just laugh it off, and his family, they'd probably think he was losing it. Hey guys, so I think I am falling in love with a girl I've only ever met in my dreams. Yeah, right. It sounded insane even to him. But how do you explain a love that feels more real than your own reflection? How do you describe a connection to someone you've never met, but somehow have already loved for your entire life? One night, when he was in his late 20s, lying in his apartment in the quiet hum of the city, he fell asleep and there she was. This time, he was determined. He felt a surge of desperation, a need for an answer. Before the dream could pull him away, before his alarm clock could shatter the moment, he looked straight at her and said, I have to know. I have to know if you're real. For the first time, her expression changed. Her smile deepened as she stepped closer, and the dream seemed to pause. She whispered just 2 words, her voice like the rustling of leaves, a sound he'd known forever but was hearing for the first time. Find me. And with that, she dissolved, not like waking up, but like she chose to leave. The violet sky faded to black, and the lake vanished. He woke up in the dark, the echo of her voice still hanging in the silent room. That was the turning point. Find me. It wasn't just a challenge, it was an invitation, a promise that sparked a new journey. So, he started searching. But how do you find someone without a name, an address, or even a city? He didn't use maps or search engines. He searched with his heart. He started looking for signs, for symbols, for the strange, unexplainable coincidences the universe sometimes throws our way. He'd walk into a new coffee shop and his eyes would immediately scan for something, anything. Red. A red chair in the corner. A red-painted door. A book with a red cover left on a table. He'd hear a song on the radio with a melody that echoed the tune she hummed, and he'd listen to it on repeat for days, dissecting the lyrics for clues. He would stop to watch street artists, his heart pounding every time they started painting a figure, hoping to see a woman in a red dress. His friends called it an obsession. Maybe it was. But to him, it was an act of faith. Love was the heartbeat of his life, a thread that connected everything. Now, in his 30s, the search for her had become a part of him, an unbreakable bond that quietly shaped his everyday moments. It's like she was always there, even when she wasn't. A quiet hum beneath the surface of his everyday life. Then, one rainy afternoon, the kind of day where the sky is a blanket of gray, he was walking home from work when a storm broke. The heavens opened up, and he ducked into the nearest doorway to escape the downpour. It was a small cafe, tucked between a bookstore and a flower shop. One he'd passed 1,000 times, but had never once noticed. He pushed the door open, the little bell above it chiming softly. He shook the rain from his coat, and as he looked up, the world stopped turning. There she was, sitting by the window, a steaming mug cradled in her hands. She was wearing a red dress. Her hair was damp from the rain. She looked up from her book as the bell chimed, and her eyes, that exact shade of blue-green, met his. And she smiled, the same smile, the one he had known his entire life. It was a smile full of stories, of patience, of lifetimes of waiting. He stood there, frozen, unable to speak, unable to breathe. And then she spoke, her voice just as he remembered from that final dream. Took you long enough. No one ever believed him when he told the story. That's okay. Some love stories don't ask to be believed. They just ask to be told. And that's what we do here, on Love and Us. We tell the stories of the love that's strange, the love that's beautiful, the love that seems impossible, but is absolutely true. Subscribe to our channel, because your incredible story might just be the next one we share. Love isn't always found in the real world first. Sometimes it finds us in our dreams, and it waits patiently for us to be brave enough to believe. Thanks for watching. It begins with winter. Not just the cold winds and falling snowflakes, but that distinct feeling that something truly magical is about to start. The world seems to slow down. Just a little. Twinkling lights begin to appear, dotting the streets and homes. And even in the quiet moments, in the stillness, something beautiful is speaking. That something is love. And this is the story of love and us. If this story is warming your heart, please like the video and subscribe to Love and Us. More cozy love stories are coming soon. Do you remember our very first Christmas together? It was such a beautiful mess. We didn't have much back then. Not really. But we had each other. And that was everything. I can still picture that lopsided Christmas tree we picked out, and how we spent hours trying to untangle those fairy lights. I remember the smell of burnt cookies filling our little kitchen, and instead of getting upset, we just laughed. The way you laugh echoed through the room. I swear, in that moment, it was warm enough to melt all the snow outside. We didn't need perfection. We just needed presence. And just like that, without even realizing it, that became our tradition. For us, love has never been about loud declarations or grand gestures. It's always been in the whispers. It's in the way you always hand me the very first slice of pie, no matter who else is around. It's in how I instinctively wrap your scarf just a little tighter, making sure it's perfect before we step out into the cold. It's in that silent look we share across a crowded room, a whole conversation happening without a single word. It's in the simple cup of hot cocoa you bring me, even when I know you're exhausted from a long day. It's in 1,000 little things, tiny moments that no one else would ever see. But we do. Because real love, the kind that lasts, it lives and breathes in those quiet, unassuming details. We've certainly changed over the years. We've grown, both together and as individuals. We went from sending late-night texts filled with dreams and hopes to enjoying lazy weekend mornings where silence is just as comfortable as conversation. We've moved from spontaneous road trips with no destination to sharing the everyday responsibilities of building a life. And somewhere between those first nervous kisses and the mundane reality of grocery lists, we became something unshakable, something real, something true. And it's not because life magically got easier. It's because we chose each other again and again and again. Especially on the days when it wasn't easy. Every year, Christmas arrives with the same familiar songs playing on the radio, the same festive lights, the same chance of snow, and yet, it always feels brand new. Why? Because we are different. Each Christmas we spend together adds another chapter to our story. A new memory gets woven into the tapestry of our life. It's another reminder that our love isn't static. It keeps deepening. It keeps blooming, even in the heart of winter. You know, some of the best gifts don't come wrapped in shiny paper and bows. Some of them don't even come on time. But the best ones, the ones that truly matter, they're felt, not bought. Like the way you instinctively hold me just a little bit tighter when you sense I am me feeling quiet or lost in thought. Or the way we both unconsciously reach for each other, this hand at the exact same moment during a movie. It's the way your eyes still soften when they meet mine, even after all this time. This isn't a love story from a fairy tale. It's so much better than that. Because it's real. And it's ours. To anyone listening to this right now, if you've been lucky enough to find a love like this, hold on to Italiano. Protect it. Celebrate it. Not just with grand gestures on special occasions, but with small, consistent acts of kindness every single day. And if you're still searching, if you're feeling lonely this season, please know this. Love often shows up quietly. It doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it's disguised as a loyal friend who always shows up, or a late-night conversation that makes you feel truly seen, or a completely random moment of connection when you least expect it. Just keep your heart open. Christmas has a funny way of surprising us all. This season, let's try to give more than just presents. Let's give our undivided attention to the people who matter. Let's give forgiveness to others and to ourselves. Let's give our time, which is the most precious currency we have. Let's give love unfiltered, unhurried, and unwrapped. Let's love with intention. Let's love like it's the last Christmas we'll ever have together. Because someday it will be, and the memories we are making right now, they will become our forever. So are another Christmas, another year gone by, another page turned in the story of love and us. And through it, all the beautiful chaos, the peaceful calm, the inevitable changes. There's one thing I know for sure. Deep in my soul, as long as I have you, I have everything I could ever possibly need. Thank you for sharing these moments with us. If this story touched your heart in any way, take a second to share that feeling. Smile at a stranger. Call someone you love. Hug your person a little tighter tonight, because in the end, life is just a collection of fleeting moments. And love is the one thing that makes them last. This is love. Enjoying this Christmas story? Like the video and subscribe to Love and Us. Your support keeps these stories alive. And us. Merry Christmas, everyone.